and welcome to a place where ideas still echo and history's greatest minds are only a question away. And today, we open the door to a conversation beyond time. In a world defined by divisions, body and mind, good and evil, God and man, we often feel torn, fragmented, a collection of contradictory impulses. We yearn for unity and certainty, but find ourselves adrift in a sea of complexity. But what if these divisions are merely illusions, products of our limited perception? What if everything, from the smallest grain of sand to the vast expanse of the cosmos, is part of a single, infinite, and unified substance? What if the path to true freedom and serenity lies not in controlling our desires, but in understanding the rational order from which they arise? Today, we seek wisdom from a man who dared to present such a radical vision. A man excommunicated from his community, who chose a life of quiet contemplation over fame, and who saw God not in a distant sky, but in the very fabric of existence. So, join us as we sit down with Benedict de Spinoza to discuss his masterpiece, Ethics, and the profound quest for serenity in a rational universe. Born in Amsterdam in 1632, Baruch Spinoza, later known by his Latin name Benedict, was a child of Portuguese Jewish exiles. He was raised in a thriving mercantile community, immersed in the traditions of his people. Yet his brilliant, inquisitive mind could not be contained by dogma. His philosophical inquiries, which questioned the very nature of God and Scripture, led to his excommunication from the synagogue at just 26 years old. The decree against him was absolute, forbidding anyone from speaking with him or even being near him. Cast out from his community, Spinoza chose a life of solitude and quiet industry. He made a modest living as a lens grinder, an occupation that ironically required an immense focus on light and clarity, a perfect metaphor for his philosophical work. He lived simply, avoiding all offers of academic appointments and financial aid, believing that intellectual freedom was paramount. He wrote his major works in this serene, isolated state, leaving behind a legacy that would shake the foundations of Western thought for centuries to come. His most famous work, Ethics, was so controversial that it was published only after his death in 1677, ensuring his final thoughts could be shared with the world without fear of reprisal. Our conversation today will be centered on Spinoza's magnum opus, Ethics. More than a philosophical treatise, this book is an extraordinary journey, written in the style of Euclidean geometry, a series of definitions, axioms, propositions, and proofs. It is a work of breathtaking ambition, aiming to build a complete system of reality, from the nature of God to the path of human liberation. It is within these pages that Spinoza lays out his monist philosophy, arguing that everything is a manifestation of one single substance, God or nature. This is a universe of absolute necessity, where true freedom comes not from breaking free of causality, but from embracing it.
Mr. Spinoza, it is an honor to have you. Your work, Ethics, presents a vision of the universe that is both radical and, for many, deeply challenging. I want to begin with the very foundation of your system. You assert that there is only one substance, which you call God or nature. Can you explain what you mean by this?
Our common understanding separates God from the world, mind from matter, but I argue this is a fundamental error. Substance is that which exists in itself and is conceived through itself. If there were two substances, they could not relate or interact without ceasing to be independent. Therefore, there can only be one infinite substance. I call this substance God because it is the ultimate cause of all things. Yet I also call it nature because it is not an external creator, but the very essence of all that is. God is not a king on a throne. God is the tree, the stone, the human mind, all expressions of a single unified being.
That's a powerful redefinition. You also speak of attributes and modes. How do these relate to this one substance?
Attributes are the essential qualities that constitute the essence of substance. We, as humans, perceive two of these, thought and extension, or matter. Modes are the finite, particular things that exist within these attributes. My body is a mode of extension, and my mind is a mode of thought. They are not separate entities, but parallel expressions of the same underlying reality.
Fascinating. So my mind and my body are not two distinct things, but two perspectives on the same thing.
Precisely. The order and connection of ideas is the same as the order and connection of things. There is no interaction between the mind and the body because they are not separate. There is a perfect logical correspondence. The mind does not cause the body to act, nor does the body cause the mind to think. Both are simply unfolding from the same deterministic laws of nature.
This leads to a difficult point for many. Determinism. You seem to argue there is no free will. How can you say we are free if our actions are determined?
Freedom is not about doing what you want, for what you want is often the result of external causes. Freedom is about acting from the necessity of one's own nature alone. A rock is free when it rolls down a hill, for it is doing so from its own internal necessity, not because something is pushing it. The truly free person is one who understands the necessity of their actions and embraces it, acting from reason rather than being passive to their emotions.
But our emotions feel so powerful. You refer to them as passions. What is the role of emotions in your system?
An emotion is a passion when it arises from an external cause. For example, my sadness is a passion when it comes from an insult. It is something that happens to me. But when I understand why I am sad, when I see the necessary cause of the insult and my reaction, my sadness transforms from a passive suffering into an active understanding. The emotion does not disappear, but my relationship to it changes.
So, to overcome negative emotions, we must understand their causes.
Yes, an emotion that is a passion ceases to be a passion as soon as we form a clear and distinct idea of it. Through this intellectual understanding, we move from being acted upon to acting ourselves. It is a slow, difficult process, but it is the only path to true peace.
You say that love of God is the highest good. Is this the same as religious piety?
Not in the traditional sense. The love of God that I speak of is an intellectual love, a joy that arises from an understanding of the divine order of nature. It is a love for the rational, eternal laws that govern all things. When we understand this, we love God, and in a sense, God loves us back, because our understanding is a part of God's own eternal understanding. This intellectual love is the source of our greatest happiness.
This seems like a solitary path. Does your philosophy have a place for community or social responsibility?
Indeed, nothing is more useful to man than man. When men live under the guidance of reason, they will necessarily agree and strive for what is good for the whole. Society based on reason allows us to flourish, to increase our power of action, and to help one another achieve a clearer understanding of the world. My philosophy is not an escape from society, but a guide for building a better one.
In your work, you use a geometric method. Why did you choose this style for a philosophical text?
I wanted to present my arguments with the same certainty and logical rigor as geometry. My goal was to remove all emotional bias and to present the truth in a way that could be demonstrably proven, much like a mathematical theorem. I believe that by presenting my ideas in a purely rational, deductive manner, their truth would be undeniable.
You were famously excommunicated by your community. How did this event shape your philosophy or your view of man?
My excommunication was a powerful confirmation of my beliefs. It showed me the dangers of dogma and the tyranny of emotion and tradition over reason. It freed me from the constraints of a community that was unwilling to accept the pursuit of truth. I found the greater freedom in my isolation, and it gave me the peace to pursue my work without compromise.
How would your concept of intellectual love of God differ from a simple love of wisdom?
A love of wisdom is a passion, a desire for knowledge. It is a good thing, but it is not the ultimate good. The intellectual love of God is an active emotion, a joy that arises from a clear and distinct idea of God and from the understanding of the universe as a rational, beautiful system. It is a state of being, not a mere desire.
You were a vegetarian. Was this a moral choice?
I did not believe that human beings have a duty to not harm animals. My choice was a rational one, based on the belief that a man should live according to his own nature, which is a rational nature. I believed that a simple diet was conducive to clear thought and a healthy mind. It was a choice for my own good, not for the good of the animal.
You wrote that the mind is a spiritual automaton. What does this mean in practice for our daily lives?
It means that our thoughts and our feelings are governed by the same deterministic laws as the physical world. It means that we can and must use reason to understand these laws and to govern our passions. We cannot simply wish away our emotions, but we can transform them by understanding their causes. We must become masters of our own minds, not slaves to our own feelings.
How would you address someone in our time who feels lost, anxious, and overwhelmed by the chaos of the modern world? What would you tell them?
I would tell them that their suffering is not a sign of a flawed soul, but of a lack of clear understanding. Their anxiety and fear arise from the passions, from being tossed about by external forces they do not comprehend. I would urge them to turn inward, to apply reason to their own thoughts and feelings, to see that they are not separate from the world, but an essential, beautiful part of its infinite, necessary unfolding. The universe is not against them, it simply is. True serenity comes from understanding and accepting that profound truth.
And with that, our time with Benedict de Spinoza comes to an end. What a remarkable and frankly revolutionary conversation. Spinoza's message is a timeless challenge to move beyond the easy dualities of mind and body, good and evil, and to embrace a more unified, rational vision of existence. He doesn't offer a quick fix or a divine intervention. Instead, he presents a rigorous, even demanding path to liberation, a path that requires us to understand our own emotions, to see the world not as it should be, but as it is, and to find joy and freedom within that understanding. His legacy is a powerful reminder that philosophy is not just an academic exercise, but a practical guide for living. In a world full of anxiety and division, Spinoza's vision of a single, beautiful substance offers an unexpected source of peace. His words challenge us to look at the world and at ourselves with a new kind of clarity. Thank you for joining us, and until our next dialogue, keep thinking.